Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Umbrella Academy Season 1, Episode 1. It's called We Only See Each Other at Weddings and Funerals. So this is the premiere episode, which means we will start spoiler-free. We'll give you a warning in the middle before we go into spoilers. But this is the new Netflix show. It's 10 episodes, a 10-episode first season. It's based on the Gerard Way comic book. Who is it that published? Was this Dark Horse?
Yes.
Yes, it was Dark Horse.
Yeah.
So this season launched today, and we're going to talk about the first episode. And assuming we like it, which we'll find out in a second when we talk about it, we'll do an episode every other day, basically, until it's done. That's how we do these Netflix shows typically. So, so you actually started reading the comic book like a week ago.
Yeah, I finished the first 2 volumes, which are the first 2 minis. The third one is currently ongoing, so I haven't touched that one.
So you have me at an unfair advantage in that you know things that I don't.
Technically, yes. I don't think it'll impact any, at least not yet. There's nothing that I'm like, oh, there's that.
Okay.
And this is changing some things up, definitely, compared to what the comic was.
So the premise of this, though, for anyone who's jumping in for the spoiler-free section here to find out if it's worth watching, is that in 1989, which is actually really weird for me because that's the year I was born, so I felt oddly like, whoa, this is like speaking to me in like a really weird way. I'm like
they're all your age.
I'm like
exactly.
I'm 5 months older than all these characters. This is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in 1989, a bunch of people, 42 or 43, I think it was, women around the world all give birth. The weird part is though, is that none of them are pregnant, and this rich billionaire. What was his name? Hargreaves, there you go. He goes around and he wants to collect some of these people who are unique. He gets 7 of them, and that becomes the Umbrella Academy, and they all bar one have a superpower of some kind, and they're kind of in the past. There's flashbacks in this first episode. I assume we're going to get these throughout the whole show. Flashbacks to when they were a team as kids, as superheroes, but now of course they're all about 30, and they're all, they've all kind of broken up. They're all in different places. They don't necessarily all like each other that much, and they all get reunited in the first episode because their father dies, which makes, because I actually thought it looked quite old even in 1989. So I was actually surprised he even made it to present day, to be honest.
Yeah. He had a ripe old run, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked quite old already. So that kind of brings them together. It's just kind of this dysfunctional. Obviously, that's what the title refers to. Is that they're all together again, despite the fact that they don't really see each other anymore. Yeah. And that kind of sets up things. And obviously, there's some swerves and some. We always refer to the hook of a first episode. There has to be a hook at the end. I'd say there's a couple of hooks in this that kind of shake things up a little bit. In the second half.
2 or 3.
So that's the gist of it. So you have Ellen Page, of course, is the sort of the biggest star in the show. She plays number 7. The kids are all named 1 through 7. Most of them have taken other names as well. Yeah. She's also Vanya. She's the unique one in that she's the one who doesn't have any powers. She was kind of the odd duck of the group. And we get this kind of sense that she was treated a little bit differently because of that.
It's often left out.
Yeah, so that's the basic premise. We'll save that there for plot's sake, and we'll talk about plot in the spoiler section. But did you enjoy episode 1 of the Umbrella Academy?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's got a sense of humor I can get behind.
Yeah, I actually quite liked it. I think not everything 100% lands. There's the odd little quirky thing that I felt like, okay, I'm not quite feeling that yet. But generally speaking, by the time there's a scene in this first episode, and this is not a spoiler, where they all start dancing in separate rooms to I Think We're Alone Now, which, by the way, I still have stuck in my head. And it's just during that scene that I was like, I think I'm kind of into this. Like, there's a weirdness to this that I'm.
There's in my head, I'm going, because this goes on for most of the song, and I'm like, is this going on too long? And then I'm like, no, it's not.
If anything, it could have went a little bit longer.
Yeah, it could.
We introduce all the characters. The first episode I think is very good. It does this kind of roll call thing. There's a sort of quirky opening that sets up the backstory of the 1989 births, and we jump ahead to present day, and we get something of a roll call. As Vanya's playing the violin, it kind of cuts between some of the other members. Although notably, not all 7. I was counting, and I was like, wait a minute, because it came up number 7 for her at the end of that scene, and I was like, wait a minute, that was only 5. Where's the other 2?
Yeah. All right, first one. I really liked the song they were playing there. That was the Lindsay Sterling cover of the Phantom of the Opera stuff. Really like that piece.
I recognised. I couldn't have told you what it was from, but I did recognise the music.
Yeah. She's a big YouTuber.
Oh, no, I know who that is. I mean, like, I recognise the actual piece, if you will.
Yeah. But that version specifically. Yeah. Really, would it have killed them to at least try and make the violin match a little bit? Like just like not throughout, but on the first note, they're starting on completely the wrong side of the strings. I'm like, come on.
Do you know what's funny is I didn't notice that because I don't know how to play violin, so I would never have noticed that.
Look, I can forgive a lot. I don't need specifics, but at least start at the right side.
For me, all I need, because as someone who, I mean, I'm really rusty, right? But I did play guitar in high school. The only thing I even ask for when I'm seeing someone play guitar is that they're strumming in the right time with what's happening, and I'll be happy enough.
Yeah, there's none of that going on here. I suspect they didn't know what song they were going to use when they filmed this.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair, and I don't really begrudge them.
I don't either. But it's because it made such a big deal of focusing on the violin as the song started, and it was like, when they're starting on the low end. It's like no. What are you doing? And it's minor nitpick. It just really took me out of the moment.
Never noticed. It's fine.
Well, lucky you.
I was just into the scene.
Good scene otherwise, though.
Yeah. You're interested. Actually, just on a quirky nitpick, and I feel like this is almost intentional, bizarrely, but Luther, number 1, he starts off on the moon, right? He's in like a little. It's basically an RV on the moon.
Yeah.
And he's on the moon. I thought it would bizarrely look like when he got out of the RV. It looked like a scene from the '60s Star Trek show where there was an obvious map painting behind the floor they had, and I'm like, this looks so obvious that it's clearly intentional, but I'm not sure what they're going for.
Yeah, and it's because obviously there are some other effects in there that are pretty good. Like Pogo looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, it's worth mentioning that their dad had a butler dude. It's actually a monkey, and he's not quite like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes level, but he's pretty good.
He's above average of what I would expect on a TV budget.
Yeah. He looks really good. The only time that I felt that he didn't quite work was when Ellen Page hugged him, and it felt like she wasn't quite.
There was a disconnect.
Yeah.
But there was some real nice. There's a bit where he shakes his head at one point, and his lips kind of flubber about. I was like, oh, that looked really good.
No, he looks good. He doesn't look like obvious. Oh, CG.
No, it looks solid, right? And so it makes you think the one on the moon feels like it must have been an intentional choice
for stylistic reasons, but I don't know. I was like, wait, why does this look so? So disconnected from the background. It was weird, but but hey, so we get introduced to the characters, and they're all very different, which I think helps. They're mostly quite likable, and the ones that aren't are intentionally not likable. Yeah, Diego's a dick, and Klaus is the kind of character that's going to take some time to get to grow on me. But the rest are all pretty likable in different ways. And the episodes are full hour. In fact, I think all of them except the last 2, which are a little bit shorter, are all a full hour long. Yeah, I had a glance as well. The last 2 are closer to 45, I think. Yeah. But to its credit, I never felt like the pacing was hurting here. Like, we said it. Spends a whole scene doing that them dancing to the song, but honestly, like, it's got this beating. Obviously that's got a beat because it's a song playing, but the whole episode has this rhythm. It has this quirky beat to it that kind of makes it all work and kind of turn. It's got a nice flow. Yeah, and we're kind of learning. I think it does a really smart job this episode because, as we said, I was frustrated at the start because it was only 5 of the 7, but it does by the end of the episode reveal who the other 2 are. It reveals number 5, it reveals number 6, it reveals what happened and then follows up on something a little bit. It reveals what happened to number 6. It does these things. And it neatly kind of lays it out. I think this was a really solid first episode for kind of neatly laying the groundwork of who all the characters are, and then only at the very end saying, here's what the story for the season is going to be about. Yeah, it does a nice thing of... We talk about first episodes quite a lot on this channel, obviously, and this ticked kind of all our boxes, right? It's, okay, it makes us... I mean, this is the first time in a long time where we've got the list of characters and not had to have IMDb at the side. And yes, I've read it, but only in the last week, but Pete hasn't. Yeah, I mean, I've got IMDb up just in case I blank on someone. But you're not. We went through beforehand, and you were just off the top of your head. Yeah, what I think was funny is that normally, like, I'll struggle with some character names. What I think's funny with this is obviously I joke just numbers 1 through 7, right, for the 7 main characters. If needs be, yeah. Yeah, but I actually could remember all the ones who had names quite well, and I think this episode did a really good job of saying them a lot. It also came up on the screen in text whenever they introduced them. Yeah. Which does help, of course, as well, because it means that there's no like. Because sometimes if it's a weird name, I might not hear it right, or I'm like, oh, what was the pronunciation of that? Like, I kind of heard it. Here's it on, because Vanya, right? I might not have, like, if I heard that just once, I'd be like, what, Vinya?
Yeah,
You know, what, you
it's
know,
very clear here.
Vanilla? Like, you know, like, what's her name? But, you know, it comes up on the screen. There's no mistake in it. So I think it does a really good job of setting all that stuff up. I think it has a unique style and tone. It's got, like I say, it's got the quirkiness to it. It feels like it's going to, you know, just teeter into some darker stuff, but at the same time, you know, Luther
has fun with it.
Has this big bulky body. There's a sense of humor to things,
Yeah.
that kind of makes it work. I think it's so weird that this and Doom Patrol are launching on the same day, because this definitely feels a little Doom Patrol in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, Gerard Way was very, open about, Doom Patrol being his biggest inspiration for the comic, and it's no surprise he went on to work on Doom Patrol later on.
Yeah, the comic book, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. It is weird that they're the same day, and we're going to go and watch that next.
Yeah,
so, what to live up to, right?
It's really strange that we're doing both on the same day, but hey, it makes for an interesting double feature, I suppose I'll say that. But yeah, so definitely has that the quickest. So I'm actually quite upbeat. I'm feeling quite positive about this. There was I don't even have a lot of concerns. When I say there was some moments that didn't like maybe pop for quite the same way. You know, there's one point two of the brothers have a fight, and I feel like that oddly landed with a thud for me.
Oh yeah, a little bit forced.
Yeah, it felt a bit forced, and I felt like it was overly dramatic, and I was like, okay, that was the one scene that stuck out to me. Is like, yeah, I wasn't really feeling that as much.
Yeah. I think there was an awkward line of dialogue at the end there as well from Allison.
Oh yeah, you never want to stop, do you, or something like that?
Yeah. There was a couple of lines that.
Yeah, that scene just stuck out as being a little bit stilted, I guess, compared to everything else.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, no spoilers as to what it actually is yet, but there's an action sequence of 2/3, maybe a little bit later in.
I think it's the last like 10 minutes.
Fair enough. Okay. Oh, again, showing how good the pacing is, but I'm struggling to recall exactly where it was. It felt earlier. Was fantastic. It was really fun and played with the power sets nicely.
Not even just that. There was a scene about halfway through, a flashback to the kids using their powers, which again was really nice because we'd heard a couple of references to some of their powers, but we didn't really know what they did, right? And then in this flashback, we get, because I think Alison's the key one, where there's a reference to her power, and I'm like, what do you mean her thing? And it, like they said a word. I don't want to spoil it, but they said a word, and I'm like, what is that? How does that become a power? And then in the flashback, like, you see her use it as a kid, and it's like, okay, I get this. Like, I get exactly. It does a really good job of teasing things, and then before the end of the episode, like, because I was worried about in the first half. I was enjoying it, but I was worried that all these things that was like, okay, you've poised all these things, but you've not actually like made it clear what they are. By the end of the episode, I knew all of them. Well, at least enough of them that I don't feel like they've.
You don't feel lost.
I don't feel lost. I feel like I'm in the world now. I feel like I've got firm footing in the world. And I'm excited to see where it goes next. So, positive. Yay.
Yeah, this is probably the most positive episode 1 we've had in a while.
It's been a little while, yeah. Because we really like Kingdom on Netflix, but episode 1 was definitely the weaker element of that.
Yeah, and we liked Hannah well enough, but we had problems with that. Or not problems so much, but more just, we can see the potential rather than being...
I'm optimistic on Hannah still, though.
Yeah, me too.
Which is coming in March. If you listen to the audio feed, by the way, on the Netflix audio feed, which is understandable, we have a Netflix review audio feed. We also have other audio feeds for just general TV reviews, and we also have a DC Comics TV podcast called Television of the Multiverse. I'm telling you that because it's in episode 1, and you may not know.
Yeah, and we're talking about Hannah and Doom Patrol, and that's where you can find those.
Yeah. Yes, Hannah's going to be on the regular TV one, because Amazon doesn't have a dedicated... we don't do enough shows from Amazon to have a dedicated Amazon Prime original feed, but maybe one day. And yeah, so Doom Patrol is going to show up. But obviously, we're on YouTube, you'll find them all anyway. But with that said, we'll go to spoilers, full spoilers then, for episode 1 of Umbrella Academy. So the big thing is that after the song and dance, which, here's some details I liked about that song and dance, by the way. I liked how different all of them were dancing. Every single one was dancing. And I love it, because I did this thing at the end where it pulled out as if it was a dollhouse, and you've seen everyone in different rooms.
This great cross-section.
In the bottom right, you could see Pogo sitting just bobbing his head. He was sitting reading a paper or something like that. He was just bobbing his head. I like that. But it was all very different, because Ellen Page has this sort of really stilted kind of thing, whereas Allison's dancing more like a teen girl would dance, and then Luther's so big and bulky with the big shoulders, and he's just kind of...
He's got some movement going.
He's into it, yeah, and he ends up hitting like the play, because they're all on their own, at least most of them are in their rooms, their original rooms.
Vanya's out just in front of the stairs.
Yeah, but everyone else is like in their teen bedrooms, essentially. So I like that. So yeah, so the big thing is that they're number 5, the brother who we hear disappeared, reappears. Because when we got to the flashback in the middle with the kids using their powers at the bank heist, where they're getting the bank robbers, and I really like that scene. I like the pace of that scene. I like the beat of that scene. It had this this bubbly.
And the kids are having fun with it.
Yeah, it was bubbly.
Well, most of them are.
Most of them are. And yeah, I'm assuming that was number 6 who was not happy because his power was very different.
Yeah, that was number 6.
Yeah, number 6 who went into a room and seemed to turn into a kraken is the best I can describe it.
This is what's really interesting. Is just a side note here. I was telling you before that in the comic they mostly refer to each other by the numbers or their code names, not their actual names that they've got. You know, they're here or there. I mentioned how Luther is Space Boy. Now Diego's code name is the Kraken.
Okay, I nailed it.
Well, no, wrong. Because that's not number 6. That's number 2. Number 6's code name is the Horror.
Why is Diego called the Kraken?
Don't ask me.
Number 6 is krakenifying.
He is krakenifying. He's got tentacles and shit. But yeah.
That was intentionally chosen to annoy people like me.
I think it was.
So he krakens up, but it's mostly bubbly though, and we see a teleporter, because I wasn't sure if the teleporter or the Kraken kid. I wasn't sure which one was 5 and 6. You know, I wasn't. You know, it wasn't clear.
It didn't tell you then
until later. Yeah, but then number 5 reappears. He's a teleporter, and he teleports through time as well. And
yeah, because when he teleports, it's not instantaneous. You'll notice, like he disappears for a few seconds because he's actually traveling forward in time at the same time as teleporting in space.
But he disappears for 17 years, and he pops back in. He's the same age as he was when he left, although he says that he actually aged that whole... It was in the future for 25 years, and he aged the whole time. He should be
45 years.
45, was it 45 years? Yeah, because he said it would be like 58.
Yeah.
But his body's the same now as it was, but his mind is older. It doesn't get into a lot of reasons why he didn't come back or how he was stuck there or anything like that. That's still stuff that we have to get into.
Yeah, but we'll
episodes.
Explore that. This is episode 1.
Yeah, but I'm mentioning it because the characters are annoyed he doesn't tell them. They're annoyed that he doesn't really say anything beyond what I just said.
He's very cold and literal.
Yeah, he doesn't really trust any of them. It's not until the end where he comes to Vanya and tells her what's going on. At least some of it. And the big thing is, because some people come to get him, he goes for coffee at a donut shop, and this SWAT team come in.
Which even before the team come in, it's a bit of a comical scene where there's this older fella sat next to him. And the woman at the counter assumes that it's his kid, and then he's going, I used to sneak out here when I was a kid. You know how times have changed.
It was a little bit like Trevor from Travelers.
It was, yeah,
a little bit of that, where he's really old, but he's actually in a kid's body.
Yeah.
But they've got a tracker on him. So this tracker must have been from before he went to the future. I have to imagine, because we later find out there's no one in the future. So I have to imagine the tracker came from before. So they come to find him, and he takes them. This is the action scene you were talking about, where he's teleporting around the room, he's playing with them, he's toying with them, but he does kill them. It's not like he's just incapacitating. He's snapping necks in this scene.
Yeah, the first was he gets them with a knife.
Yeah,
and it's not just not like a kitchen knife, like a sharp. It's like a butter knife.
Yeah, it's for spreading like peanut butter.
Yeah, and it's like, Jesus, that's got to hurt more, right? Because it's like blunt. But there is a guy that's down. He just walks up, snaps his neck at the end. It's like, right, that's dealt with. It's
definitely he's out for the kill when he's doing these things. But he tells Vanya that when he went to the future, there was no one there. It was it was chaos. It was the post-apocalypse, and he doesn't know how it dies. He doesn't know how the human race goes away. He just knows the date because the final newspaper. He finds the newspaper of the day that it all happened, and then. This was in the trailer, but I'd forgotten about it. But he says the world's going to end in 8 days, and I'm like, 8 days? Oh well, oh boy, that's a time frame.
It is, isn't it?
So we get and again, this moment was in the trailer, but Ellen Page is just like, I'll put on a pot of coffee, like in a really deadpan way.
Yeah, there's a lot of coffee talk in this episode.
Yes. I wonder if Twin Peaks was also an influence. If all this coffee talk makes me think of Twin Peaks more than anything else.
It might be. I know Gerard Way has a thing with coffee, but it could have come from Twin Peaks quite easily.
Could have done, yeah. So that sets up. That's your final kind of hook. There's a few other hooks. Obviously, the first hook is that he comes back from the future, right? That's first and foremost. There's one of them is a kid still here. But then you get the hook of the world's ending in 8 days. We also have the hook that So it sets up. There's this casual mention that Klaus can speak to dead people because Luther asked him to speak to Dad because he thinks it was foul play in his father's death.
Which is funny because obviously you were like, well, he must have been pretty old, and none of the rest of the question. They go, yeah, coroner said heart failure. Sure,
he's old enough that we kind of buy it. Yeah.
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 But Luther's having none of it.
He's having none of it. But he thinks it's suspicious because the monocle's missing, but we see later on that Diego has that, which I never read as Diego was the culprit. I just read that as Diego took it because he was in the scene.
I agree. I think it's more just the idea that, Luther said, oh, someone took it because it was personal, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think he killed it. Doesn't play like that to me. I mean, I think it plays like, oh, maybe he did, but it comes across as more as, oh, I'd actually got a bit of a heart after all.
Yeah, because all through the episode, he's a dick to everyone. He's making fun of Alison for her divorce. He's making fun of Luther for his size.
Yeah, he's a dick at the funeral.
Yeah, he says a lot of nasty things about their father, who does seem to be a bit of a dickhead, quite frankly. He seems like a bit of an asshole. But he's very awful about him. And then, but this is kind of the moment of like, no, he actually does kind of care. That's what I read it as, rather than he killed him. But he's got Klaus in the backseat of the car, and Klaus starts speaking to someone who wasn't there before. And obviously, because we heard he talks to dead people, we're like, okay, this is probably a dead person. But it comes out, it's a really neat thing where it comes up in text, like it has done for every other character. It comes up saying number 6, Ben, deceased. And it's like, okay.
I like that it outright just said the deceased, just in case, it's like there's no confusion about this. It's like, no, we're not trying to trick you at any point. He's dead, and only Klaus is seeing him. What
I liked about it, though, is it didn't feel like it was just doing it to tell us that, to make sure we knew. It felt like it was in the tone of all the text that had come up previously to just add that note on.
Yeah, I agree. And it plays as well, because it's like this could be a hallucination, because, Klaus is high a lot.
Yeah.
He has a drug problem.
Yeah, we
start with him leaving rehab.
And he immediately goes and gets more drugs as soon as he leaves rehab.
Yeah, immediately, right? So... it could be just a hallucination. It could be just that he's cracked.
Which actually made me think of Haunting of Hill House a little bit, because one of the elements of that is that a character who's in rehab all the time and on drugs all the time is because he sees things from beyond, right? And that's how he deals with it. So I'm wondering if that's why he has went down this path, is because
makes sense. Yeah,
seeing all this stuff has really messed up his head. He's trying to numb it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. But it does make you question: is this actually real? Because even though we know he has this power, is this one specifically real or is it not? Because I will say this is one of the things that wasn't in the comic. This is completely this new edition that bends around here.
That's interesting. I'm excited to see more of that. He never speaks, by the way. He just sits there and
nods
and listens. Yeah, and nods. We should mention the mother, because I did notice early on, but she's not aged. And then there's a casual line about her recharging. I'm like, oh, she's a robot. Yeah. And we see her actually, have the robotic bits come out of her ears later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she seems to be deteriorating as well, because she's getting things wrong. She's forgetting things.
Yeah. I mean, she's clearly not the most advanced robot ever, in that she's been around for most of their lives. Advanced for our standards, sure, but in the sense of Hargreaves probably had later versions that he created right over his life.
Yeah, because there's a scene where the kids want to say goodnight to, and she's there, and they're all like maybe 12, 13, something like that.
Yeah.
Which honestly I think it's a weird age to want to say goodnight to your father. I feel like by that age most kids are like, I don't want to speak to my parents anymore. Maybe it's different if he's distant like he is, but
yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. Just whatever. But no, so just to run down the rest of their powers. So Alison has this thing where she'll say that she's heard a rumor, and then the rumor will just become true. Yeah. And she doesn't like using it because something happened she couldn't take back. We don't know what it is yet. I mean, you may know what it is, but I don't know what it is.
You can see already that it's the classic. Careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah. Because we see it in the bank flashback. She makes the one robber shoot the other robber in the foot.
Yeah, I heard a rumor you shot your friend.
So you have that. Obviously, we have Klaus with the speaking to dead people. We'll probably get more specifics on that at some point. Luther's super strong and obviously big. Diego's good with knives. This one was a bit more vague for me.
They turn in midair.
Yeah, that was in one of the scenes, but like
it's anything that he throws, he can it'll hit his target.
So he specifically just gravitate towards knives. It's not that the power relates to knives. It's just that that's the obvious thing to use with the power.
Well, if you're gonna throw things,
might
as well be knives, right?
Yeah, kind of like how people always associate playing cards with Gambit, but it's not really anything to do with playing cards. He just likes using those.
Yeah, exactly.
Because for a long time I don't understand what Gambit's powers were. I was confused by Gambit for a long time.
I get it. I mean, it's Gambit.
I'm still confused by Gambit and why people like him. But
Yeah, I understand his powers. I don't
Yes.
understand why people so like him.
But you know, that's what it is. So no, and who have we not spoke about? So that's everyone, right?
Yeah, we covered 5
Yeah,
with his
covered 5, covered
teleport
6.
time.
Yeah, so that's
Covered
the powers.
6, and then 7 is normal.
So who were these people that were? So here's the questions I have, right? That we can't answer yet, but this is just to re-establish for going forward. Who are the people that are looking for number 5? Because he doesn't have a name.
Why?
And why? What killed the world and the people in the world, more specifically? You know, was there any weird circumstances with the death of the old man? You know, did someone kill him? We don't know. And you know, so I think that those are the big main ones going forward.
Yeah, in terms of the season arc, definitely those are the questions.
Yeah, obviously some character stuff because we should mention Vanya wrote a book and everyone in the family, except maybe Alison, are mad at her for it because she revealed the family secrets. What are those secrets? We don't know yet. You know, what specifically did she reveal? Because, you know, it seems quite, you know, revealed to the world that they were a team because the kids were very public at the time. Maybe they didn't know their names, but, you know.
Yeah, but she came out with, you know, saying these things. But, you know, we have things like, we know Alison and Luther were close at one point, you know, given the way they talk. But, you know, he's like, oh, how's the husband and kid? And she's like, yeah, 8 months ago. Yeah, but you'd have known that if you were, you know, not on the moon.
Yeah, and it sounds like the old man did a lot of bad things to Luther, and that's partly why he gets sent away. Because that's at least that's what it's implied by Diego.
Yeah.
Well, not they actually relate to each other is another question, but that's what he implies.
Yeah.
So curious to see.
Yeah, obviously in that scene, Diego is taunting him a bit. So it's how true is that, or is he just trying to get under his skin, right?
It's also worth mentioning that when Diego gets cut in the arm, because he wears like a long coat all the time, so you can't see his arms and stuff. When he gets cut, you can see all these tufts of hair coming out. He's very hairy.
Yeah, you can see it at the start when he's on the moon. Underneath the helmet is a lot, you know, like a lot of hair all around here. Obviously, it's just trimmed down to like a stubble when he comes down to Earth.
He's a man beast.
He's a bit, yeah.
He's a man beast. But yeah, so that's episode 1 of Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I'm actually quite excited now about seeing more of this, and if we can keep this energy up, then I think I'll be in for a good time.
Yeah, it's 10 episodes, right?
10 episodes. Yeah, it's a full season of a Netflix show.
Seems reasonable.
So yeah, so come back, of course, for episode 2. We'll like we say, the goal for this will be every other day, and we'll try and keep that as best we can. We actually Connor's going on vacation very soon, but we're hoping to get enough recorded before he goes that we'll be able to keep that every other day schedule for the most part. So to you at home, it'll be like nothing ever changed or happened.
In theory, yes. Which is why even though we're going to try and get ahead, we're not going to rush out them just so they're consistent for you guys while I'm away.
So so come back for that. So let's say if you're on the audio feed, the Netflix review audio feed, which I think is called the almost cancelled Netflix review audio feed. I don't know. There's links to the audio in the description on the YouTube if you're looking for it. Go to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. There's a list of all of our audio feeds there. Of course, if you're on YouTube, it doesn't matter. But you still work out your Patreon, of course, because you can support us over there for as little as $1 per month. You can get some stuff early, you get some stuff for bonus stuff and that kind of thing. You can also support us, of course, by liking, subscribing, and all that stuff. Get us down below in the description. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments, all that stuff. So that's us. So that has been episode 1 of Umbrella Academy. So we'll see you in a couple of days' time for episode 2. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?